I'll do it first. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Try that. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Second part goes like this. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory, I am. Let's do it again. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory, I am. Part one, I am. I am as God created me. In the light, in the love, in the glory, yeah. I am as God created me. Oh, in the light, in the love, in the love, hey, in the light, in the love, in the light, in the love, in the glory, in the light, in the love, in the glory, in the light, in the love, in the glory, I am. In the light, in the love, in the glory, in the light, in the love, in the glory, in the light, in the love, in the glory, I am. All right, that's good. And you'll see that we're not all doing exactly the same thing, because we're humans. So you don't have to do exactly the same thing either. So if you want to Vogue instead, you may, or Macarena, I don't care. Do that thing. But now we're going to do a little camp version thing, which is you guys, you do part two, which is in the light, in the love, in the glory. 1, 2, 3, ah! I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Do that again. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Switch, hey! In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. I am, yeah. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. In the light, in the love, in the glory. Everybody on part one, I am. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. One more time. I am as God created me, in the light, in the love, in the glory. Well,
Good morning and welcome to Seattle Unity's online Sunday service. My name is Reverend Karen Lindvig. Our vision statement states that we are an accessible and inclusive spiritual sanctuary for all ages and stages of life. We offer spiritual practices and a community that honors diversity and encourages self-empowerment. We co-create a world that works for all. So we take this in to the center of our hearts as we also know that there is but one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. God the good, omnipotence. And may you have the eyes to see the goodness in your life. And we are grateful. Amen.
Hi, I'm Dana Cole, and I'm a prayer chaplain here at Seattle Unity. Since the beginnings of the Unity movement, more than 125 years ago, prayer has been a central spiritual practice. Today, even while we're social distancing, we're here to offer you our prayer support. Our chaplains and prayer team are especially trained to hold your prayers in confidence and embrace a consciousness for the highest and best in all areas of your life. Whether you're navigating challenges, opening to divine ideas, or giving prayers of thanks, you can request prayer by visiting seattleunity.org. Enter your prayer request and the prayer team will be happy to pray with you. These prayer requests are also sent to Silent Unity. If you would like a prayer call or email, there will be a place for you to enter your contact information. It is my great honor to be a part of the Unity prayer tradition and to share these tools with you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Meehan, and I've been a part of the Seattle Unity community for 8 years, and I'm a longtime practitioner of yoga. People have been practicing yoga for 5,000 years. Yoga can be a meditation in itself, or it can be a preparation for meditation. It can help calm the nervous system, help with stress and anxiety, and lower blood pressure. This brief meditation is a standing sun salutation. It can also be done in a chair, so I'll show you both ways. It will take us about 5 minutes. And this meditation can be done standing or sitting. And start out in a prayer position. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. And set an intention for your practice. And remember to breathe. Breath is an important part of this practice. Start out with the mountain pose, arms at the side. Lift the arms to the sky, look to the sky. Tee your arms out into a slight back bend. Raise them to the sky. Swoop your arms down to a forward fold. Halfway lift, hands on the knees. And fold. Arms up to the sky. And remember to breathe. Tee arms out to a slight back bend. Arms to the sky. Forward fold. Halfway lift. And fold. Arms up to the sky. And prayer position. Mountain pose. Arms to the sky. Tee out, slight back bend. Arms to the sky. And fold. Halfway lift. And fold. Arms up. And prayer position. Mountain pose. Arms to the sky. Slight back bend. Arms to the sky. And forward fold. Halfway lift. And fold. Arms to the sky. And prayer position. And breathe. Mountain pose. Arms to the sky. Slight back bend. Arms to the sky. Forward fold. Halfway lift. And fold. Arms up. And prayer position. And breathe.
My life goes on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn that hails a new creation. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. When love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? Above the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds and echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. When love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? I lift my eyes, the cloud grows thin. I see the blue above it, and day by day this pathway clears, since first I learned to love it. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. When love is Lord of heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing?
Good morning and welcome once again. I have been an active Unity minister for 36 years, and in that time I've had the privilege of witnessing some amazing world events, both positive and negative, in spiritual community. In 1989 at Unity of Reno, we celebrated when the Berlin Wall came down, thinking that was something that would never happen because of the Cold War had lasted so long. At Seattle Unity, we prayed and supported each other when the planes hit the Twin Towers. But I have to say that never have I seen things in such turmoil for this long in all my years in ministry and in all my years on this planet. And sometimes it's difficult to know what to say, and yet I always go back to unity principles. And it's a time to really lean into those principles. Because between the COVID, the protests, the riots, the mask wearing, racism, it can feel like it's very difficult to find one center right now. And it's in times like this that spiritual community is really important, even if it's simply online. I don't know about you, but I have been a member of a lot of different kinds of communities. You know, when I was a kid, it was the left field bleacher bums. You know, we got together to cheer the Cubs, and our goal was just to have fun and just to have a great time, which we did. My neighborhood where I grew up was a great community with people supporting one another. You know, wherever you work, your place of employment becomes another community. Our schools are a community. But spiritual community is different because we're coming together for a higher purpose. And in spiritual community, there's an agreement to keep the high watch for the world and for one another, you know, to see the Christ within. And we collectively seek to raise the vibration, right? To move from fear to love. It's like what Jesus said when he said, whenever two or more are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. There's that spirit. There's that love. There's that presence where something miraculous can happen. And so spiritual community has a little bit of a different twist. There's this practice of loving kindness and compassion. And we can lean on each other when we falter. It's a friendship that is based on seeing beyond appearances and into the God self. An example is, imagine that you see two people walking down the street and one person is very negative and critical and without hope, and another one is encouraging. Which one are you going to want to spend time with? And so what I see in spiritual community is there's that encouraging, not in a false way, but an encouraging, supportive place where we call out the best in one another. A place where we are encouraged. So I believe that spiritual community is vital to our mental, emotional, and spiritual health, particularly right now. Because in many ways, right now, we're like kids in the back seat of a car, and our parents are driving, and we've been on the road for like 10 hours, and we're sitting in the back going, are we there yet? Are we there yet? And it kind of feels like that with this COVID right now. It feels like, is this never going to end? Are we there yet? And when we look at what's happening in the world, it's like it can be easy to give up on hope. I mean, will we ever be able to hug one another again? There's so many things that have fallen by the wayside that used to be normal. I picked up my daughter and her boyfriend from the airport the other day, and normally that's not a big deal. It's like, can you pick me up at the airport? Sure, no problem. Then after I said yes, I was like, oh, wait a minute. They're going to be traveling. They will have spent some time with other people. Do I want to expose myself to that? So I weigh the differences. I'm like, okay, we do the masks, we do the hand sanitizer over the windows, because I was conflicted between, do I want to take a risk of exposing myself to COVID, or do I want to hear how their trip was? Well, I wanted to hear how their trip was. So I went, and of course we were masked and we did the whole 9 yards, and we're driving home and I'm hearing about their trip, which of course I love. And then it would dawn on me that we're all masked up and that the windows are down. And so there was this normal thing happening and then this not normal thing happening. And it's sad. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has had this experience recently where you're kind of doing something like going to the grocery store and you look around and you're like, wait a minute, what's happening? Oh yeah, we're in this COVID thing. So we can be like these kids in the back seat of the car and go, is the economy ever going to recover? Are the kids ever going to go back to school? I mean, when are things going to go back to normal? And of course, it's going to be a new normal. It's not going to be what it was, it can't be. If we only look at the circumstances in the world right now, it can be easy for us to give up hope and to give in to despair. Ray Johnston said, when we lose hope, we lose the ability to dream for the future. Despair replaces joy, fear replaces faith, and insecurity replaces confidence. And I think that this is what's happening right now, right? And so people are scared, people are angry, and there may be a feeling of, what have I got to lose? And so we see property getting destroyed and people getting hurt and people getting killed because they're coming from this place of despair and this feeling perhaps that this is never going to end. Now, Martin Luther King knew something about hope. He said, we must accept finite disappointments, but never lose infinite hope. Everything that is done in the world is done by hope. If you lose hope, somehow you lose the vitality that keeps moving. You lose the courage to be that quality that helps you go on in spite of it all. And so today I still have a dream. So when we have hope, we have energy. When we have hope, we have vitality, we have courage, and we're able to keep moving forward. So what we are experiencing right now is finite disappointment, but there's always infinite hope. Charles Fillmore wrote The 12 Powers. And one of our innate powers is faith. And with faith, you can do anything, right? Scripture tells us that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And it's not like a wishing Pollyannish. It's a true knowing is what it is. You know, Jesus said, if you have faith, you can move mountains. If you have faith of a grain of mustard seed, even just it's a tiny little bit, it'll grow into a big bush. So it's not that we don't have faith. Faith is an innate quality, spiritual quality that we have. But the question becomes, how do we activate faith? And I think it means that we need to have the long view, be able to see the whole picture, be able to step out of this finite experience that we're in and look beyond it. Look ahead and see what is ahead. And that is one of the gifts. You know, we also have the gift of imagination. And with imagination and faith, there isn't anything that we can't see or do. I love the way Antoine de Saint-Exupéry said, if you want to build a ship, don't herd people together to collect wood, and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. And you see the difference. It's like, okay, I've got to do these tasks. I got to build this and that. But when you have the vision of the immensity of the sea, that vision of the immensity of the sea simply carries you to building a boat or to somehow getting out to sea. And that's what hope, that's what faith does, right? It's like it carries us, we see it, and then it just carries us through. And we don't have to know the if, whens, how, you know, we don't have to know the details. It doesn't mean we don't have to do the details. We still have to do the details, but we're being carried instead by a vision. So, how are you going to look to yourself when you look back during these times? In Proverbs 29, verse 8, we read, mockers can get a whole town agitated, but the wise will calm the anger. So hopefully we can be like the wise and calm some of the anger. And that first means that we need to calm the anger within ourselves, because I know that there's a lot of frustration and anger out there right now. And one of the ways we do this is by keeping our sense of humor, by taking care of ourselves. You know, what is it that you need? What kind of self-nurturance do you need? And then getting outside is probably one of the best things that we can do right now in nature, right? And just let the earth heal us and be with us. But I think also keeping a sense of humor can help us not take, everything so seriously, even when it's serious. So my name is Karen, and many of you know there's this Karen meme going out there right now, and my name has been associated with white, privileged, middle-aged women who scream. And it's like, yeah, whatever. And I went to my granddaughter's graduation. It was outside. We did an outside thing. And her dad, whom I hadn't seen in over a year, came up to me and he goes, "I'm really sorry about the things that are happening to you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Oh, the whole Karen thing." He goes, "That must be awful." And I thought, I haven't seen you for a year, and this is what you want to talk about, really? But I had an experience a couple of weeks ago because the city sent me a notice that said I had to cut down a tree that was hanging over the road because it could damage a car or hurt somebody, and I'm liable. So Kelly and our neighbor Serge went out there, cut the tree down, and of course it took all day, and so we had a portion of the street blocked off with cones and flags and all this stuff. And it was like 2 car lengths. It wasn't that far, and it's not that busy a road. So at the end of it, I went down there, and while I was there was a woman sitting, trying to get by, but she wouldn't move. And it's like, really? It's just a small part, and she wouldn't go. So finally I walked down in the street. I looked up, there were no cars. So I told her to go. Well, at that moment, a bike came flying down the road at the same moment, going like 15, 20 miles an hour. And there was plenty of time because, nothing happened. Nothing even came close to happening. But she got very upset, and it should have been a sign to me because she was alone in her car with a mask. And she's saying something to me, and I didn't hear. So I started walking toward the car. It was still more than 10 feet away. And she's like, "I almost hit that bike because of you. And get away from me. Get away from me now. Get away from me." So I said, okay. So I started to back off, and she goes, "Wait a minute. Where are you going? You get back here right now. Don't you dare walk away. I'm talking to you." And so I just kept walking, and I walked around the car, and I just thought, I'm not going here. There's too much drama. And then eventually, she sat there for a while longer, and this is a street that doesn't have a lot of traffic, and all of a sudden cars start backing up. Eventually, she did go around and called the police on me as well, but whatever. But anyway, I got home, and I was telling a friend of mine what had happened, and she goes, "Oh, you got attacked by a Karen." And I was like, I did get attacked by a Karen. And you think I would be immune to getting attacked by Karens since I'm a Karen, right? I mean, that should happen. So there is a little bit of good news that is coming our way. So my point is, keep a sense of humor about things. Don't get so wrapped up about stuff that we're just like going crazy. We were given a sense of humor for a reason. So find ways to see it. But there is some good news, right? And in Oxford, they have been working on a vaccine, as they have been in China. And I saw this article in Wired UK, and it says the Oxford team found that its vaccine provoked an immune response and didn't produce any serious side effects. The vaccine prompted neutralizing antibodies, the kind that defend the cells against attack from virus, in at least 9 out of 10 of those who had a single dose of the vaccine. The Oxford study was released on the same day that a team from China also released promising results from its own study into a COVID-19 vaccine. So what they're saying is it's possible that we could have a vaccine at the end of the year or the beginning of next year. Regardless, this too shall pass. I know it feels like we're in the back of the car and we're never going to get there, but this too shall pass. In closing, I want to share some words of wisdom from John Lewis, who recently made his transition at the age of 80. John was the son of a sharecropper, and one of his responsibilities when he was a kid was taking care of the chickens. And this is from his memoir, where he fed them and he read them stories from the Bible. He baptized them when they were born, and he staged elaborate funerals when they died. He said, "I was truly intent on saving those little birds," he wrote in his memoir. "I could imagine that they were my congregation, and me, I was the preacher." I can relate to this because I used to baptize all my kittens when they were little. On a serious note, Catherine O'Seeley wrote about John Lewis. Mr. Lewis was arrested 40 times from 1960 to 1986. He was repeatedly beaten senseless by Southern policemen and freelance hoodlums. And during the Freedom Rides in 1964, he was left unconscious in a pool of his own blood outside the Greyhound bus terminal in Montgomery, Alabama. After he and others were attacked by hundreds of white people, he spent countless days and nights in county jails and 31 days in Mississippi's notoriously brutal Parchment Penitentiary. He was one of the original 13 Freedom Riders and served in the House of Representatives in Georgia beginning in 1986. And he somehow was able to keep his sense of humor, also his sense of justice and seriousness, but there also was just a lightness and a kindness to him. And it is during this period of time that his words are so important to us now. And what he says could come right out of a Unity book. He says, "You are a light. You are the light. Never let anyone, any person or force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Study the path of others to make your way easier and more abundant." So one of the ways we study the path of others is to be together in community. Lean toward the whispers of your heart. Discover the universal truth and follow its dictates. Again, what do we say in Unity? Listen to the still small voice, right? Follow your intuition. Release the need to hate, to harbor division, and the enticement of revenge. Hold only love, only peace in your heart, knowing the battle of good to overcome evil is already won. Choose confrontation wisely. But when it is your time, don't be afraid to stand up. Speak up and speak out against injustice. And if you follow your truth down the road to peace and the affirmation of love, if you shine like a beacon for all to see, then the powers of all the great dreamers and philosophers is yours to manifest in a nation, a world community, and a beloved community, finally at peace with itself. Are we there yet? It may be a while. So stay centered. Take care of yourself. Keep your sense of humor and lean into your spiritual practices as well as your spiritual community. Stay safe, my friend.
My name is Mary Kemp.
And I'm Alexander. I've been a member of Seattle Unity my whole entire life. We come to that time in our service where we practice the law of giving and receiving through generosity. We are grateful for your continued support of Seattle Unity.
You can give by text using the number on the screen or on our website at seattleunity.org. Check out our easy recurring giving feature. However you give, I invite you to hold your gift in your heart as we affirm together, I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude. We dedicate and consecrate these gifts to the will, the work, and the way of the living Spirit of truth. May each gift return to the giver a millionfold.
Amen.
Now I invite you to join in with our prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us.
I am light.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am love.
The power of God protects us.
I am power.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am presence.
Wherever we are,
God is,
And-
and all is well.
and that's the truth.